3:59 a.m., a DoorDash order arrives, a small brown bag labeled Xana. Inside, hot fries, untouched. The microwave hums quietly in the background. It was supposed to be an ordinary night, but within minutes, everything would change. 4 young lives would be stolen, and a peaceful college town would wake to a nightmare. This is the chilling story of Xana Kernodle's final meal, and the horrifying chain of events that followed. November 13th, 2022, Moscow, Idaho. A small, quiet town where the loudest sound most nights was the rustle of leaves in the wind. The University of Idaho campus, tucked between rolling hills, was preparing for winter break. Inside a 3-story rental home just off campus, 6 students lived together. That night, most of them had been out, celebrating the weekend. By the time the clock struck midnight, everyone had returned home. But while the house settled into silence, something else stirred outside. A predator was on his way, and the lives of 4 students, Madison Mogan, Kaylee Goncalves, Ethan Chapin, and Xana Kernodle, were about to be destroyed. For months, investigators revealed little about what happened inside that house. But recently, over 200 crime scene photos were released to the public. Among them was one haunting image that shook even seasoned detectives. A small bag from Jack in the Box, partially eaten fries, a receipt marked Xana. That bag became more than evidence. It became a silent witness, a frozen snapshot of the last moments of a 20-year-old girl's life. Xana placed her DoorDash order at 3:59 a.m. Minutes later, the delivery driver arrived and left the food outside the door. At almost the same moment, cameras nearby picked up a white Hyundai Elantra circling the block. The car belonged to Bryan Kohberger, a 28-year-old criminology PhD student from Washington State University. He studied the psychology of killers, and according to investigators, that night, he became one. At 4:06 a.m., his car passed the house again. At 4:12 a.m., Xana's phone was still active, scrolling through TikTok. But within the next 10 minutes, everything changed. According to investigators, Kohberger entered the house through a sliding glass door. He moved like a shadow, silent and deliberate. 2 of the roommates on the 3rd floor were his first targets. They were asleep, unaware of the danger creeping towards them. What happened next was fast, brutal, and unforgiving. Madison and Kaylee never woke up. They were killed within moments, their screams muffled by closed doors and deep sleep. But when Kohberger made his way to the 2nd floor, Xana was still awake. She may have heard noises upstairs. She may have seen him coming. What is known as this: Xana fought back. Reports reveal she suffered over 50 defensive wounds, fingernail marks on her attacker, cuts and bruises on her hands and arms. She grabbed the blade. She fought with everything she had. The struggle was violent. Evidence shows furniture knocked over, items scattered, blood smeared along the hallway walls. Xana's boyfriend, Ethan Chapin, was also attacked. Both were killed. But Xana's desperate fight delayed the killer long enough to leave behind crucial evidence. On the floor near Xana's body, police found a knife sheath. Inside, a tiny sample of DNA belonging to Bryan Kohberger. That single clue cracked the case wide open. Investigators matched the DNA to Kohberger's father using genealogy databases, then traced it directly back to him. Xana's bravery didn't save her life, but it may have solved the case, and for many, that makes her a silent hero. After the murders, Kohberger fled the scene around 4:20 a.m. He drove back to his apartment in Pullman, Washington, just 10 miles away. By sunrise, the house at 1122 King Road was silent again. Xana's uneaten fries still sat by the microwave, a haunting timestamp of a life frozen in time. The investigation was massive. More than 400 FBI agents, detectives, and forensic experts were assigned to the case. Phone records revealed Kohberger had driven by the house 12 times before the murders, stalking the victims. His search history was even darker. He had studied patterns of criminal behavior. He analyzed how to get away with murder. And yet, he made one mistake. That knife sheath was his undoing. On December 30th, 2022, Bryan Kohberger was arrested at his parents' home in Pennsylvania. The news sent shockwaves across the country. A criminology student turned suspected killer, a man who studied the minds of murderers, now accused of becoming one. In court, prosecutors revealed the mountain of evidence against him. DNA, phone data, car movements, witness testimonies. The case was airtight. On July 2, 2025, Bryan Kohberger pleaded guilty. 3 weeks later, he was sentenced to life in prison without parole, 4 consecutive life terms, 1 for each young life stolen, 10 additional years for burglary. But for many, there was no sense of closure. Families broken, friends shattered, and a community still haunted by unanswered questions. Why these victims? Why this house? And why, that night? Perhaps the most haunting part of this story isn't the brutality of the crime. It's the silence before it. That small bag of fries, a name written in black marker. Xana's last meal, untouched, unfinished. It reminds us how quickly life can change. One moment, scrolling through your phone, the next, face to face with unimaginable horror. For investigators, that bag became evidence. For the world, it became a symbol, a reminder that sometimes it's the smallest details that carry the loudest echoes. In the end, there are no easy answers, no way to make sense of senseless violence, but Xana's story lingers. Not because of how her life ended, but because of how fiercely she fought to protect it. This is Mr. Murmur, where shadows speak, and secrets are never truly buried.